What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some of the data points, what's moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoundHound is down 6.05%. So we have another volatile day on our hands. 1587 the low, 1656 the high. Unlike yesterday, we are seeing institutions buying the dip. So the biggest difference between yesterday's kind of push lower and today's is today's artificial. And a lot of that has to do with Palantir putting out their earnings. Wall Street just seeing the valuation of Palantir, despite Palantir hitting pretty solid earnings, still having that high of a multiple, I think is causing some concern. So that is one thing that is really causing the market to go down, again, artificially, because if we look at the true data right now, we're actually seeing a lot of institutions buying the dip. We have a couple pockets of selling right here, but most of the transactions are actual buys. So again, this is why I always like to look at a lot of the data behind the scenes. So let me know your viewpoint on that. Today, there hasn't been any news from SoundHound, no SEC filings or anything. So now I think just people are holding their breath for their earnings, which is on November the 6th after hours. No real change to a lot of the key metrics. So earnings per share, revenue, that's all kind of staying the same. So analysts aren't going to be doing anything, at least before the earnings. When it comes to macro data, there hasn't really been anything coming out today to really spook the broader market or anything. So it's just literally piggybacking off of the kind of movement of AI. One thing I guess did come out, and that was this right here. So Jim Cramer on SoundHound, it's got to make money before I can get seriously behind it. So this is his actual quote. So all right now, it's a pure spec. I like the fact that it's come down a bit from its high, but you need to know that it does not make money. It's got to make money before I can seriously get behind it. So I guess he does not consider the 42 million that they made last earnings as making money. So I don't know if this is somehow a inverse type of positive thing for SoundHound, but no matter what, I think SoundHound, for him to say that as well 2 days before or 3 days before SoundHound's earnings is kind of comical, because most likely the current estimates are that they're going to make about 40.48 million. And even on this, so analysts are assuming anywhere from 39 to 42.7. So hopefully they do exceed that. But still, this is very, very comical. And even still, quarter over quarter, you're seeing solid double-digit anticipated growth. And a lot of analysts believe that is kind of on the table. So for him to come out and say it doesn't make money, I find that very, very comical. But nonetheless, this might be a good reason to buy inverse Cramer type of scenario. At the time of doing this video, shorts are increasing 124,000 shares, 28.4% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 104.33 million shares overall being shorted. Shorts is still overextended with SoundHound. So 1.72 days is the DTC. So that does factor in the average volume for SoundHound in comparison to number of shares being shorted. So hopefully their earnings, they give very good future guidance, and they kind of lay out a roadmap towards profitability, not just break even, but full on profitability, because that should be a natural deterrent for shorts. So let me know your viewpoint on that in the comments below. Looking at the options, 5.7 million in calls, 968,000 in puts, and 62% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. So even though a lot of the broader market is kind of recovering from the lows, you're still seeing some, I guess, hesitation with SoundHound. So algorithmic trading is very, very active today. And I think generally it's just the sector. So Palantir, SoundHound, very similar AI tech plays. So I think that's probably why SoundHound is getting hit very, very hard. But obviously leading into the earnings, for those of you that have been really wishing for cheaper prices, can't get better than this, especially for timing wise. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that 1650 and above for the next by this week. And then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub kind of $14. So you have a lot of anticipated volatility, and even right now 13.49% is the expected move. That's after their earnings, and that's roughly a $2 move in either direction. So anticipate some volatility because of that. Right now with a 1602, trading between this S2 and this S3. So 1642 is going to be the next strong target / resistance, and then 1555 is going to be the next strong support. I personally don't see this S3 being hit today whatsoever, potentially dependent on how things play out on a larger scope over the next couple of trading days. That could be on the table, but 1642 ideally is going to be what SoundHound does close above in either today or if not tomorrow, to see a nice kind of partial recovery. But aside from that though, actually I have this up here, just wanted to kind of point this out. So their last earnings revenue 42.68 million, which is a huge increase of 217.06% year over year. So this is a kind of a funny FU to good old Jim Cramer. But on the actual chart, because of today's push lower, I think the reason why SoundHound is kind of getting artificially pushed lower even more than a lot of other stocks is because of the technicals. So the 50-day moving average is a very, very big deal. And so right now, it is below that. So that 50-day moving average is sitting at 1653. So another element to kind of watch for. And luckily enough, SoundHound hasn't really touched that. Last time it touched it was when it was at the $11, $12 range, and that was way back in August. So if it does break below and stays below that 50-day moving average, then it most likely will be wedge bound between that 50 and 100 up until, of course, the earnings. That will be the big decider whether we kind of push higher or if it does truly break down. But for right now, I think SoundHound's technicals is also a big thing for it. Looking at the market position, I don't know if it's just fears, but you are seeing, like I brought up, a lot of institutions truly buying SoundHound. But in comparison to kind of bigger picture, you are seeing not that much willing buyers. So it does look as though that we might be seeing a more of an aggressive push lower. And so, yeah, you don't really see that much willing buyers, especially comparing it over the last couple of trading days. It looks like big money just is kind of taking a step back and maybe waiting for SoundHound's earnings to hear what is said for future guidance. But there hasn't really been all that much in analyst ratings. The last one did come out on the 16th, but that'll change, of course, this week. And there hasn't really been that much in articles really talking about SoundHound. So it's just piggybacking off the broader market. Like I said, if you do truly believe in SoundHound, really look at options. I've been stating this almost every single video, because even though when kind of days like this occur, people feel like the world is ending, and if you are kind of on margin, it might be a little bit sticky. But if you do truly believe in SoundHound or any other stock out there, kind of buy the dip with options. You can make a lot of money. Even if in theory you assume $19 is back on the table by throwing out January as an example, you can make 34% on the common stock versus 85.8% on common stock. So for those of you that are new to options, sign up for Moomoo. It's completely free to do that. They have some good promos where if you throw $100 at it, they give you like $50 back. So that's a good kind of return. I have a link to them in the description below as well. But all of this can be completely free. It makes things very, very easy for options. So if you are kind of unsure about options and you don't really know what to do, you can always just sign up for this and take a look, because this is very, very handy for kind of newer investors and even experienced investors. Sometimes nobody has the time to go through and look through everything. But aside from that, that's kind of what is affecting SoundHound today. So let me know your viewpoint if you are buying the dip or are you taking profits. What are you doing going into their earnings? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.